In today's episode, it's our Super Bowl special, a rematch of Super Bowl 42.
Condiff, Evans, and Kyle Williams choke, leaving the Harbaughs with a new dilemma. Whose brother's house to watch the game at coming Sunday?
And there's a new Prince in Motown. All that and more, you're watching The Pitch.
Get it. Welcome to another episode of The Pitch. As always, I'm your host, John Fox, alongside here with Mike Peps-Peroni and Mitch Sabatelli. Now, as we've said, it's our Super Bowl special, but first, we're going to talk about Championship Weekend. Who's going to take it first?
I'll take it. Thank you, Billy Condiff. I almost crapped my pants when he missed that kick. I was jumping right there. I was out of my seat crying with laughter.
If I've ever seen the funniest sideline reactions of anything's history.
It's Ray Rice.
Harbaugh. He just goes. That's exactly his reaction.
Also, Terrell Suggs had nothing to say. He was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
As soon as that kick got off, Condiff just. He just turned his head this way and
you do feel
right
for
around.
The guy because
yeah, you do. You have to.
The hold was perfect. It was laces out. It was only a 32-yard kick, and no wonder why John Harbaugh didn't want to pull the trigger with the 51-yard kick. Because I mean, if he's going to do that with a 30-yard kick, who would add another 20 yards?
Granted, it was at the end of the game, so it was a different situation.
A pressure cooker there.
All right, so let's talk about the game right now. I think Joe Flacco, he deserves a lot of props for this one. He really stepped up. Granted, it was the Patriots secondary, and anyone can throw against that secondary against Kyle Arrington. However, I think he had a pretty good game. And not only a good game stats-wise, I think he did a real good job commanding the offense and really leading that team down the field. He left some points on the board. He missed Torrey Smith a couple times. But I think he really matured as a quarterback this year. Yeah. And I think that was a real solid game. And Belichick said it best himself. He sucks. And really, the Patriots did not deserve to win that game. There was one player that stepped up for the Patriots, and that was huge on that defense. The defense needed it. The pass rush was getting to Joe Flacco. That was big man Vince Wilfork. Yes. Joe Flacco was running around there in the pocket all day trying to get by Vince. Ray Rice had nothing. And I told you last show, if Ray Rice was held under 100 yards, they'll win that game. And that's what happened. He was held. And the Patriots somehow, because of I think maybe Myra Kraft was out there kind of pushing that ball to the left there. But, Vince Wilfork was a big stud in that defense. I think Gerard Mayo had a good game. Rob Ninkovich, everybody in that defense stepped up today. I think that was this week, that was one of their best games of the whole entire year, in my opinion. And, for all that talk about the big three of Welker, Hernandez, and Gronkowski gets hurt from that douchebag, Bernard Holler, who's knocked out Brady for the whole season.
It was a clean tackle. It was a clean tackle.
But, Gronk was out there, Welker was out there, and Hernandez. Baltimore was a real good defense. Brady wasn't very good, but they had awesome coverage on him throughout the whole game. You can't say too much about that Ravens.
What I gotta say about Tom Brady is new name for him. Instead of Tom Brady, it's Tom Tebow, because he pulled the Tebow at the end of the game, jumping over that line, trying to get it right into the end zone, putting his whole body in the line.
Awesome. That was pretty
his whole body in the line.
Did it twice.
Granted, I will not give a lot of credit to Tom Brady.
Then right over.
Yeah, I will not give a lot of credit to Tom Brady.
Right there.
I won't give a lot of credit to him. I'll give it mainly to Green Ellis and Wilfork, 6 tackles, 1 sack. Hell of just bringing pressure. Especially, I think it was the fact that Condiff, he saw the pressure coming at him, too. I think that's what scared him, because he saw Wilfork, broke through.
Why didn't Harbaugh call timeout? I don't get it.
They should have called timeout. Also, so many plays in the last few drives for the Ravens that, you can blame Condiff all you want, but Cam Cameron is definitely at fault. They're even saying he's probably the top reason why they lost this game. There were a couple plays where it was 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 1s, where Flacco was on the Patriots 20. In the end of that game, he had Ray Rice wide open for a 10-yard run. He overthrew it to the left and missed his receiver completely. They gotta set up better plays. They gotta do what they do best. And I felt like they were trying to rely on Flacco a little bit too much at the end of that game.
On that fourth,
and then also. But, the X factor for me, for the Ravens, Joe Flacco definitely stepped it up with 2 touchdowns. He played good completion percentage. He was finding his receivers. He was very clutch in 3rd downs. Granted, the Patriots weren't playing up to their complete potential in the 3rd down ball, especially. Letting them convert all those 3rd downs. But, I mean, mainly I just give it up to him. I mean, Ray Rice got stopped. I mean, hell, Ricky Williams had more yards per carry than him that game. But, I mean, just props to Flacco, but it was all about the coaching and the clutch moments, which is why the Ravens look to me as an immature team in that playoff game, because they didn't do the things at the end of the game that it took to win. They played smart and conservative throughout 3.5 quarters, but when it came to the end of that game, so many coaching mistakes, juvenile mistakes by Cam Cameron, not calling the timeout like you said, and Cundiff completely blowing that kick. I got to give it up to the Patriots defense, though. They weren't the main X factor for me. Like I said, Flacco in general would be the X factor, but they were definitely up there in my X factor book because they played a hell of a game with Will Ford. Everybody stepping up. So much pressure on Flacco. Eventually, they got to him. And that's the main reason why they won this game, not because of Brady.
Tom Brady did not throw a touchdown.
Don't know why.
No, he did not. And he broke the streak.
Tom Brady made literally the worst mistake. Yeah, it's a football sin to get a turnover.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about.
And then throw a 50-yard bomb to Matthew Slater, of all people, who has like single-digit catches for the whole season.
You just stole the momentum away from them.
Okay,
you need to play. You need to run down some clock, okay? Wear them down even more, because you just stole it from them.
Yeah, exactly.
I got 3 points. Sorry to cut you off, but I think I'm going to lose this here.
Right.
I want to talk about Brady's game real quick. And you made a great point about Matthew Slater.
Brady still played a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Why would you sign it? I designed that for Ocho Cinco before I give it to Matthew Slater.
So, Brandon Spikes makes this big play and comes out of nowhere, and a lot of people were saying how Brandon Spikes isn't too good against the pass and real good run stopping linebacker. However, he steps up, and I don't know where Flacco was throwing it there. However, right then, Brady, that was the time where Belichick needed to run the ball there, where Billy O'Brien needed to run the ball there with Ben Jarvis right there. You made that big play. Why in the next play? I know since it's a gimme, you might want to take a chance, but you know you had the game right there. You could have easily run out some of the clock. You make a big chance to Matthew Slater, who's a kick returner, who plays on defense, who's a special teamer, and you know, I think Ocho Cinco, they could have used Ocho in this game.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
There's a couple other points I want to make. You made a good point about Cam Cameron. Yeah, I think the coaching was very tough in this game. I think
very showed a complete lack of maturity in the offensive coaching.
But Belichick was a very good coach in the defensive end of the ball. However, I think Billy O'Brien lacked on the offensive side for the Patriots, and what Pep said with the offensive side for the Ravens with Cam Cameron, you saw in that 4th and 6 when John Harbaugh was thinking about going for the 51-yard kick with Cundiff. You saw that 4th and 6. Cam Cameron told Harbaugh about a play, and Harbaugh said absolutely not. He gave a big timeout play.
That's being a coach.
And he stopped Cameron's awful call. Now they just re-upped Cam Cameron for another deal. I don't know what that was about. However, I thought that was a horrible game by Cam Cameron. And last, I want to talk about where was it going to? Rob Gronkowski, I think they did do a great job in shutting down Rob Gronkowski, and they did do a great job in shutting down.
The thing is with the Bernard Pollard tackle like you're talking about, you need to do whatever you can to stop Gronkowski. Even if it is meaning by wrapping him up together by the legs, you can't let him break tackles because he is so good at doing that, especially against these defenses where he can just spread the field with Hernandez and get open. And if it's a one-on-one, he will truck through the defense with no problem. It's just, it's inevitable that it was coming, and it was a nice tackle by Pollard, but I mean, hey, the Pats pulled it out somehow, but I also got to give props to Sterling Moore at the end of that game.
Absolutely.
Wicked. I mean, Joe Flacco on that last, I think it was right before the field goal where he tried throwing it to Pitta. You know, wide open pass. Oh, what he was doing, he threw it right into coverage. I mean, granted, it was a decent pass, but Sterling Moore, like, making a play like that, like, that's pretty gutsy, because if he misses that, Pitta gets a touchdown. So he just dove and smacked it down.
Lee Evans, you're a veteran. You got to hold on to that ball. You had the ball there. You had the title. You were going to the championship right then in your hands there, Lee, and you let the ball just go. You've got to hold that ball there. You're a veteran. Ball security is the #1 thing with the wide receiver. Who cares about if you can go deep? Who cares if you can run routes?
That's the downside.
If you can hold the ball, that's the main thing. And Lee had to grab that ball. Sterling Moore, he did make a heck of a good play. And then what you said with Pitta right after that.
You know what the downside is? The downside is of having someone like Evans in that game and him being the open guy is you're trusting it in a guy who hasn't had any catches really throughout the season. Any big catches, big plays. So when it comes down to that, I mean, I know he's a better receiver. I'll give it to him. He's a good receiver. I mean, especially in Buffalo when he was there, but it's just, I mean, you do have to catch that. You have to catch it, and to let someone just strip it out, you need complete ball protection, especially with 22 seconds in the game after that. Odds are the Pats are not coming back. They're down by 4 points, so Brady's going to have to come back out of nowhere and throw a touchdown with 22 seconds with like 1 or 2 timeouts. It wasn't going to happen, and I thought he caught that. I thought the game was over, and then CM slapped that out.
One more shout out before we move on. Dante Scarnecchia, the coach of the offensive line for the Patriots, I think he did a great job holding Nada to nothing. Holding Sizzle, who was absolutely disappeared from that whole entire game. So much for all that talk about Suggs being the defensive player of the year. Where has he been in the Texans and Patriots game? He got absolutely shut out by this offensive line of the Patriots, and Dante Scarnecchia, the coach there. Great game for both of them. And, you know, say what you wanted about the Ravens. I think the Patriots did what they could, and, you know, they pulled it out.
I do love how they, like, utilized Green Ellis more in the run game.
But we got to move on a little bit here.
All right, moving on, and thanks to Ted Ginn, the Giants take down the 49ers 20-17 here. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, Kyle Williams was the Billy Cundiff for this one. You know, Ted Ginn, he's the Pro Bowl guy. He's the kick returner. Ted Ginn, you know, when he got picked, I think it was 7th overall, everybody just thought that was a horrible pick. And it was, I think it was by Miami. They should have taken Brady Quinn out of that pick. Turned out neither of them really was successful. But Ted Ginn has developed into a real good kick returner. And he was a real leader for the San Francisco 49ers this whole entire year. Real solid in the ball. And then Kyle Williams comes from nowhere. And he actually had a pretty good first half. He had a lot of yards. However, when he muffed that kick, if he had no intention of getting that ball, you got to run away. You got to run away. You can't stay next to the ball and just look for the ball. It ended up hitting his leg. Turnover right there. Right after that, you know, I think there was a couple stats up there that the Giants and 49ers were completely even, and that game could still be playing right now. Who knows? Yeah. However, Kyle Williams, he held that ball a little too long, and you know, overtime, great game. Real defensive stout game right there, and Giants pulled it out because of Kyle Williams' lack of, you know, maturity.
Yeah. The thing is, with the 49ers, it's like the Ravens. Both Harbaugh brothers coaching teams, I mean, they're both not fully experienced with getting, like, to that level, I believe, yet. Especially Harbaugh with the 49ers, especially with the turnaround they've had. But, I mean, they showed really a lack of maturity with the team itself. Yeah. At the end, they showed a lack of being able to close the game.
I mean, their big leader is Vernon Davis, who's
Brandon, I give him credit. He has matured throughout these whole playoffs.
He's a stud right now.
He has matured, and that's who they relied on that game mainly, with Smith and Davis. And I call that game Punt City because I don't know how many times each team punted that ball, especially at the end. Granted, it was a hell of a game. If you love a defensive battle, that's one of its best.
They were both MVPs in that game.
But the thing is, the coverage was so good that it would be plays like 3rd and like 16. I think one of the plays was when Eli had no options whatsoever, and Bradshaw's out of nowhere. Everyone's so well covered that Ahmad Bradshaw makes like a 30-yard catch to get him into range. That's how tight the defense was for each side. And the reasoning here is with the turnovers is that they couldn't make the plays when it mattered. Like Williams, the botched play, and then they eventually turned them into the game-winning field goal, and then the other botched play, which is a sin. Get the hell away from the ball. I mean, I don't know what you're doing. You have a lead. You just scored a big touchdown. Just give it right back to them. Then, you know, what happened there was, granted, I mean, I give Manning credit for that one. It was like 3rd and 15 on the 16-yard line. If you just got backed up, Manning to Manningham right across the middle. I mean, if he's a good quarterback, they're going to eventually take advantage of stupid mistakes from a rookie team in the playoffs like the 49ers. And Kyle Williams pretty much gave them half their points. Right then and there. Half their points pretty much for that game. And, I mean, definitely the main reason why they lost. I mean, he has a good future, they were saying. I mean, they obviously don't want to put the blame on him, make him feel bad. But in all fairness,
he's getting death threats.
Turnovers were the reasons. That's a little extreme. Because, granted, where they were last year, they're way better off now.
I want to talk about the Giants' defense right now. That defense may be better than the 2008 defense right now. You look at that line. Jason Pierre-Paul, who in my opinion is better than Michael Strahan at the tail end of his career. I'll take Jason Pierre-Paul right now than I will with Michael Strahan in 2008. Yeah. Look at Jason Pierre-Paul. You got OCU Manura, Justin Tuck. Chris Canty on the defensive line, one of the best defensive lines in football right now. You got the linebackers there. Chase Blackburn, I think, had a real good game. Then you got Michael Boley, Matthias Kiwanuka as that linebacking core. The weakest position, the weakest point of the Giants defense. However, it had a real good game against the 49ers. And Alex Smith couldn't go anywhere. But I want to talk about that secondary. Alex Smith, I think, was he didn't complete a pass to the wide receiver. I think Michael Crabtree had like one catch in the whole game.
Vernon Davis and Frank Gore. Frank Gore was making a lot of receptions.
So I want to talk about the Giants secondary right there. Antero Roll, Aaron Ross, Corey Webster, and Kenny Phillips. I think they had a tremendous game.
Yes.
Real good secondary and real underrated players on Antero Roll. He's that big leader in that backfield. Everyone knows about the Giant paparazzi defensive line with, like I said, Taco Umanura and Pierre Paul. You want to look at that secondary. There's some no-names there with Webster, Phillips, and Ross. Antero Roll has been stout this whole entire year. True leader right there. He used to be a corner over there with the St. Louis Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals. However, they transitioned very well into safety, and he's a veteran now and a real leader for that Giants defense. Real underappreciated over there. Real good game for Roll.
The thing is, if I were the Patriots come February 5th, the thing I'd be most afraid of is what we're strongest at, passing. Their pass rush is ridiculous. They got to Alex Smith, like you're saying, he couldn't pass to any of his receivers. Yep. He'd rely on Frank Gore pretty much that whole game. Frank Gore couldn't have done more for his team to win the game, and then to end up losing like that. If I were him, I'd be very aggravated with this team to know the fact that, I mean, yeah, hey, they had a good turnaround and everything. You know, they made the NFC Championship. That's great. But to lose in that fashion with the stupid turnovers, at least lose with no turnovers and be like, you know what? We didn't turn the ball over. We played 49ers defense. We played 49ers offense. And we lost with dignity and pride. But, I mean, they did lose. They did lose, like, fairly. But, I mean, it's just to lose in such a fashion of where the backup kick returner lets it hit his knee. All right, that's what led to a touchdown.
Before we move on a little bit, I just want to talk about the 49ers. Now, I think they had 4 wins last year. Enter Jim Harbaugh, all second seed. 6 and 10? I thought it was 4. Was it 4?
6 and 10.
I might be wrong. Scott can correct us with that one. However, you know, enter Jim Harbaugh anywhere. In my opinion, the coach of the year. That defense is going to be together for a long time. One of the top defenses for the next 5-10 years, in my opinion. You look at Willis. You look at Goldson and Whitner, my favorite safety pairing in the game. Then you look at the Smiths with Justin Smith, Alan Smith.
They were shutting everything down.
They were applying the pressure there. Eli had a great game escaping the pocket.
How many pass attempts he had, too?
Oh my God, he broke the record for
over 55 pass
completions. But, you know, I think both of the Smiths were getting to him a lot. Eli's just real underrated as a scrambler. I think he can escape pressure right up there with an Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben. However, I want to talk about that defense. I thought it was real good the whole year. And ultimately, I think it's just that 49ers offense. I mean, you can't win with Michael Crabtree as your leading receiver out there. I think they need to insert a receiver here, maybe draft a receiver, maybe go out there, maybe get an established veteran, maybe Santonio Holmes, trade for a Santonio Holmes, go out there.
That drama in the locker room.
Go out there, get somebody out there. There's not too much drama with
Santonio Holmes.
Absolutely not. He's
everybody definitely part of those. I'm saying, really?
Yes.
Then how come there was that big issue with him with the Jets?
There's no issue with him. They pulled him out because he had a horrible game, and he was getting verbally abused by the press. And he eventually took it like a champion. Took about 20 horrible questions, and finally left out of his own dignity. Santonio Holmes is one of the most respected wide receivers there is in this game.
Oh no, I know. I honestly.
You just said he wasn't though.
I did not say that at all.
What did you say?
I did not say that. I said all the drama was surrounding him. I didn't say he caused the whole drama. The drama was surrounding his name.
He could use a new change of scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why not get Santonio Holmes?
I don't know why. What I'm saying is receiver. We're talking about the position.
All right. So what I'm saying, yeah. Okay. So all right. Who cares? 49ers. All they needed, I think, is a receiver, and with that defense, I think they're going to be here for a long time. I think Alex Smith established himself as a legit quarterback and no longer a bust in this league. So I really like what the 49ers are doing.
49ers, by the way, last year went 6 and 10.
6 and 10. All right. So good
job. All right. Now, before we move on to the Super Bowl, our producer posed a great question for us to use. Who, out of all, do you think is the biggest choke artist of the weekend? Cundiff, Evans, or Williams?
I think the least is Lee Evans. I think he actually had a pretty good game up until that point. Like I said, you got to hold on to that ball, and you were going to the championship if he had that ball. However, you look at what Billy Cundiff is. This guy's getting paid millions of dollars to just kick a ball in the field goal. You're literally that's what you're getting paid to do is hit those pressure kicks.
That's all.
And I could see if you wanted, if it was a 51-yarder, that's fine. 32 yarder, I could have hit that. I could hit that with socks on. You know, a 32-yarder. I mean, it was set up pretty good.
I highly doubt that.
Okay, I'm just saying something.
You can hit that with
He's just trying. He's just.
I'm just saying. I'm going to say Billy Cundiff's number 2, but you got to look at Kyle Williams. I think that guy single-handedly lost the game for his team.
Oh, yes.
There was a couple variables for the Ravens to lose the game, but the 49ers, like I said, they were in a great game, real evenly matched. Kyle Williams actually gave the Giants the win twice there. Yeah. He let him come right back into it, and really that was a turnover. That was a real momentum changer when he muffed that first punt, and then when he gave the fumble, it was all over. The Giants just had to kick a field. And Lawrence Tynes is a real good kicker.
Oh, yes, he is. He's very clutch.
He's very clutch.
So you're taking Williams for the biggest choice.
I'm taking Williams.
I'm gonna
real close. I mean, Cundiff, like I said, any.
I think it was more the fact. It was more the fact that I'll agree with you. Lee Evans third. Granted, he dropped the pass. That's. I mean, that you could argue that's one of the reasons why they lost the game. Yeah. But they still were in field goal range. So that's why Cundiff beats Evans because they still had the field goal, which is, I'd say. Yeah, they still have the field goal, so the field goal should be a gimme, like for a kicker, since he's so like good and everything. But I mean, the thing is, both of those were two things that didn't cost them the game. Because think of it, Evans missing it, they still had the chance with the field goal. That's why Cundiff's above Evans in the choke artist column. And then
Williams cost them the game.
No. I'm going step by step. Okay. I'm saying 3, and then Cundiff's 2. The reason why Cundiff's 2 is because he missed it, but it wasn't like it was for the win. It was for the tie. So it's like with the Buckner scenario and everything. I mean, granted, Buckner's was worldwide, and they ended up losing general. But it's like, that was just to tie it to go in extra innings. And they still had another game after that. So it was like, it's the fact that it could have tied the game. They wouldn't have won. So, I mean, the pressure's on there anyways. But, like I said, Kyle Williams definitely won because not just one occurrence of a botched punt return, 2 occurrences of it, especially in the biggest pivotal moment of the game in overtime. When you're getting the ball back and you have a chance to come back in sudden death and get a field goal. Just move the ball around on offense. Even knee the damn ball. Just get the damn ball and cover it with your life, like your life depends on it. I just don't understand. I mean, it's 2 plays that pretty much gave them half the points they had in that game.
First one was the dumbest. You got to get out of the way.
You can't allow that to happen. You can't allow that to happen once. Granted, twice. I mean, at that point, if I were Harbaugh, I'd just be like, please just knee in the ball. Just land on the ball with all your might. Don't even return it. I would literally tell him, don't return it. This is one of the biggest games of all of our careers. And the last thing I want you to do is to muff another punt. And that's exactly what he did.
Going back to Billy Cundiff real quick, you made it.
You never expect that as a coach. I mean,
after the first time, I just warn him. Just land on next time.
But you said you think it's worse that it was to tie the game. In my opinion, for a kicker, if it was 23-20 Pats at the time. That kick was to tie it.
That's why I just said.
I'm saying that's worse than say it was 23-23 and he was going for the win. Yeah. I mean that's the end of the game right there. So in my opinion,
but I'm saying that the pressure is just as big. But if you think about it, it's the fact of the win. The win is why the pressure is on.
I think the loss is bigger than the win.
But what I'm saying is the reason why Kyle Williams is above him is because he gave the Giants half their points off of screw-ups that he made. That's why he is above Cundiff. That's why Cundiff is above Evans.
No, I agree with you. I was the one who said that list first. I said Williams, Cundiff,
yeah, but I'm giving my reasoning on why.
I know. I'm just saying. All right, Peps, I hear what you're saying. However, say it's 23-23 and Cundiff's up there. I think he has less pressure because I think it comes off his back a little bit.
Definitely.
Say he misses that kick like he did, and then it's just 23-23 going into overtime. Now that it's 23-20,
I mean, with the chance
to tie it. Now he has the chance to tie it. I think, in my opinion, that's worse. He said that it was
I will agree. No, I'd say they're both very similar.
Kick, you're going home. Your season's all gone.
They're both very similar.
You still have a chance.
Yeah, don't call me out. They're both very similar. Okay. I think that they're both very similar. Granted, they were behind. Okay, that's a little more pressure. I'll give you that. I may have said that in my argument, whatever.
No, yeah,
I don't really care.
I'm not saying anything about your pick to pick Kyle Williams. Obviously, Kyle Williams.
No, I'm saying what he's saying about my argument about the kicking of the field goals at certain.
Yeah, in my opinion,
points
it's worse what he did. However, I think Kyle Williams blew it.
But I'm saying I'm only saying it was to tie the game, as in.
I hear what you're saying. All right, we got him on here.
Big debate over something usually. All right. Now, for the Super Bowl, okay? You guys were both right in your picks, okay? A rematch of Super Bowl 42.
Yep.
Let's take some opening thoughts here.
You know, like I said, this is what I really wanted to see. You can throw I know the 49ers may be the easier of the two. However, like you said, Peps, this is the year of the revenge. You know, you knocked out the Jets. The Jets didn't even make the playoffs. Then you knock out the Ravens. Now it's time for the Patriots to grow a pair and knock down the Giants. You know, Bill Belichick to Tom Coughlin, I think that's the big matchup right there. And I think Bill Belichick, I mean, you got to put the check next to coaching for the Patriots. Look at going down the list.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the big advantage the Patriots have right now in the coaching category. Yeah. And you know, Bill Belichick, he's already played the Giants. He's already lost the Giants this year. He has tons of tape on Eli Manning and that offense, and I think he will do everything in his power.
Huh? Probably vice versa too.
Yeah, no, I know, but I think Bill Belichick, he's so well known for what he does with tape and with past evidence and with past games. I think he's going to have all this information, use it to his advantage here, and I think I see the Patriots winning because of Bill Belichick and all of that information. You know, I think Tom Brady's going to have the game of his life. He said himself, he sucked that game. I think he's going to come out in this game and absolutely be on fire. You know, Gronkowski's injury is going to be questionable. I think he will play. Whether they're going to use him more in the blocking scheme or whether he's going to be that dominant force in the passing game like he usually is, receiving the ball, I think that remains to be seen. I think Brady's going to test that early, and I think you're going to see that early. If he starts going to Hernandez a couple of times in a row, if you see Gronkowski blocking, meanwhile Hernandez is going out for the pass, that's not a good sign if you're a Pats fan. You want to see Gronkowski going out there for making those plays. If you see, you know, them relying on the run early, that's not a good sign. Yeah. I really want the Patriots to come out, and if they win the coin toss, I want them to receive the ball and put the pressure on Tom Coughlin and that defense early. Like what I said about the pass rush. That pass rush is going to be getting to Brady, but I think this offensive line with Dante Scarnecchia and those Pro Bowl guards of Brian Waters, Logan Mankins, and improved Matt Light, that revolving door with Nate Solder, Marcus Cannon, Sebastian Vollmer, and yeah, you did lose Coben, but I think all those guys on the outside and the middle, I think Brady's more protected in this game than he was in 08. And say what you said about the loss to Coben. However, I think the big weakness on the defensive line is their defensive tackle with Chris Canty. Nobody talks too much about Chris Canty. It's the guys on the outside, the Human Ures, the Tucks, the Pierre Pauls, who you really got to stop. And I think Brady, he's got an improved awareness over the last couple of years. I think he's going to be able to take advantage. And also, I think the Giants linebackers have decreased a little bit this year. You know, Chase Blackburn, they picked this guy off the street a couple of weeks ago, and you know they had Antonio Pierce, who granted, you know, witnessed the guy shoot himself in the foot. However, he is a pretty smart linebacker out there. You know, he had real good leadership on that team. With losing Antonio Pierce, insert Chase Blackburn, Matthias Kiwanuka, Michael Boley. That's a big digression in the linebacker category. And I think Brady could, you know, he was having trouble finding his receivers against the Ravens, but give all the credit to the Ravens' pass defense because he didn't know where to throw the ball. I think there's going to be a little bit more openings for Brady. And you say, oh, well, Brady's going to meet his back. It's going to be, who cares if you have openings? However, I think he's going to be able to find those openings because that offensive line is going to be stopping him. I'm going to say he's going to put up the points.
Grant, we have a very good offensive line. They have a very good D-line.
Yeah.
They have very good bum rush for the pass defense.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Brady's obviously, he's going to get his. I mean, advantage coaching definitely goes to the Patriots. No disrespect to Tom.
Advantage quarterback goes to Tom Brady.
Advantage defense goes to the Giants.
Yeah.
Reason why I didn't want to see the Giants get here, first of all, with all the, history. All the history. I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking revenge, but also I'm thinking from a smart point of view, who are we going to have an easier time beating? And I'm thinking it's the 49ers, because we're not notoriously known for our running. They are big rush defense. They stop completely. I mean, granted they shut down the Giants receivers very well last weekend, but I think they would have a lot tougher time if they were facing the Pats' offensive receiving core in general with Tom Brady, especially a quarterback mid Eli Manning. He is definitely above. But what I'm saying is the pass rush for the Giants is that much better than the 49ers. They are a proven team, won the Super Bowl and took us down when we were 18-0 at the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's going to be a very tough game. It's going to be a grind. I believe we can do it because we have, like you said, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And like I even put this on Facebook, I said, anything is possible when you have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the year of the quarterback and the tight end, which is what I believe this is, and the year of the revenge, which is why I believe the Ravens got taken out by us. Even though some chance luck, it's definitely the spirit of Myra Kraft in the room saying, you're going to get your revenge this year. And we're going to get our revenge against the Giants. We lost to them by 4 points in the regular season. They lost to us by 3 points in the last week. Revenge for them. It's going to be revenge for us this time. And we're coming at them with all this talk and all this talk about how the Giants are going to beat us. And you know what? It's just going to fuel the fire for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick to want to shut them down even more. Which is why I know you said you want to accept if we win the coin toss, but I would love to defer just to make a stand with our defense right away to say
that's going to put pressure. If Eli runs down the field,
it puts pressure on our defense immediately to go right.
Yeah,
after
I'd rather put pressure on our offense than on our defense.
If they shut down our offense right away with their nice pass rush, then we could be in trouble. Thinking the defense would be like, oh no. The offense just completely blew the possession because the Pats' defense has stepped up. So now we have a lot of pressure, and maybe they get nervous, and they have some lapsed coverages. That's what I'm saying is I defer it. They defer it all the time, and I would definitely do that.
So say what you said about Vince Wilfork and what I said about Vince Wilfork last game.
Put the pressure on their offense to step up.
However, I think the Ravens' offense, with as far as weapons go, with Ed Dixon, Dennis Pitta, Anquan Bolden, Torrey Smith, that is not Hakeem Nicks, Mario Manningham, Victor Cruz, Jake Ballard, and So what? I think Eli. I don't want to defer in this game because if Eli
does, it's making a stand that we are not messing around.
But I don't think they're going to make that stand in the opening thing. I think Eli's going to shred that field, especially in the early stages. Eli, he has no pressure on him right now. I think Eli, say what you want about how his brother's better. I think Eli has ice cold veins. He has no pressure. He can just let it go out in these big games, and he'll have the games of his life.
I'll give you that in the big games.
But I want to talk about the Giants secondary. I know what I said about Antrell Roll. However, there is some holes there. I don't really like Kenny Phillips, and I don't like Aaron Ross. I think the Baltimore has a much better coverage than the Giants.
We'll put it this way. If our offensive line can completely... Well, we're not going to... They're obviously going to find lapses in our offensive line. If we can shut them down for the most part, I think Brady can beat their secondary.
Say what you
want.
Brady
can beat their secondary.
Yeah. Say what you want about how the Giants did shut down Alex Smith and Vernon Davis. However, they do not have those same kind of weapons like a Tom Brady and all those receivers that they have with Gronkowski, Hernandez, Branch, Ocho Cinco, who's back now, Wes Welker, the greatest receiver in the game. So I think Brady's going to be able to find a little bit more holes than Alex Smith did with Michael Crabtree.
Definitely, Tom Brady can find holes all over the field.
No, I know. So I think that's the difference between. And I think the 49ers could have actually won that game if Kyle Williams held on the ball. So now put in that new offense. Granted, they have a worse defense than the 49ers. However, I think they're going to dominate right now with that offense with Brady. And I think Brady is a little bit more mature than he was back in 08.
Definitely.
Well, obviously. And so I don't think he's going to let that pass rush bug him. I think he's going to be able to find some holes. And
I don't think it's going to be...
Look for Danny Woodhead to have a pretty good game as far as screens and the draw goes.
We're definitely going to be using that, especially with their pass rush coming after us. Yep. We're gonna be throwing them off with screens and everything. So I like that comment.
And I actually like what I said last week about how there might be an Ocho Cinco sighting. I did not think his dad was going to die. I did not think he was going to miss the plane. Yeah. However, he is back this week, and a lot of people are thinking about how they're going to stop Welker and Branch and the big tight ends, even if Gronkowski's out. I mean, who knows? They threw that big bullet to Matthew Slater. They have Taekwon Underwood instead of Chad Ochocinco. Everyone's saying how he can't read the playbook. I don't care if you just say, Ochocinco, go, and just have him go and have Brady throw to him. I mean, who knows? Who would you rather have out there right now for a deep threat? Matthew Slater, type 1 underwood, or Chad Ochocinco?
Chad Ochocinco,
So, I mean,
no question.
That's a big thing. I mean, he's going to be going against Aaron Ross. I think he's going to be going against Kenny Phillips. He's not going to have the big Corey Webster intro role on him. That's
He'll attract them, or at least he's so fast and he can move. Granted, I mean,
he's not fast anymore. He's more, you know.
He's got moves.
Yeah, he does.
He's got moves.
Agility.
He can juke the crap out of defenders.
He's agile.
But, I mean, he can definitely attract the defense away from Gronkowski, Hernandez, and they'll still be open. And even if they're not open, we can run. We'll confuse them even more. We have so many weapons. We are like the Giants. Well, the Giants, we'll say the Giants are like us. Our offense is better than the Giants. I believe that.
Okay.
You don't think our offense is better than the Giants?
I think, running game, too. I think running game evens it out a little bit.
Tom Brady beats Eli Manning, no question.
Yep, but I think
our tight ends crush their tight ends.
I think you got to get. It's kind of
close.
I'm saying tight ends definitely.
No, I'm saying the Patriots. I never said the Patriots offense is better than the Giants. However, I know
never fumbles.
Is there a bigger gap between the Patriots defense to the Giants defense, or the Patriots offense to the Giants offense? I think there's a bigger gap defensively.
Completely.
So. But I think, as far as the revenge goes, and I think that's why it comes down to coaching.
Can score.
And I think
Belichick will trick them up. He will.
And I think that's the big. I think that's the big thing.
All right. Who has the edge on paper?
On paper.
On paper.
Defensively, like I said, you look at that big front four there, and then you look at it. I think
if we can stop that front four, I think we can do this. No
Giants defensively, they have the edge. You know, I think that loss of Andre Carter really hurt the Patriots. Yes. They have not had Andre Carter this whole entire playoffs.
So much pressure on that.
Mark Anderson's turned into a pretty good player. You know, he had 10 sacks in the regular season. He's really stepping up in the postseason here, and he's making you think of not really thinking about Andre Carter. However, Andre Carter did make the Pro Bowl this year as a pass rusher, and you know he had a real good regular season. And everyone's kind of forgetting about him because of Vince Wilfork and Mark Anderson. I really like what the defense has become. Granted, it is against Tim Tebow, it is against Joe Flacco. However, I think it has improved a lot since the regular season. So I think the gap is closed a little bit defensively, but I think on paper the Giants just blow the Patriots away defensively. You look at the stars. You look at Vince Wilfork, Gerard Mayo. Maybe give me a Pat Chung for as far as stars go in the defense. Definitely. I can have. There's more stars just in the defensive line than the Giants have, than the Patriots have in their whole entire defense. You know, McCourty's digressed a lot. Arrington, he's been where the ball is. He's not. I know he's the league leader in his interceptions. However, that's just a product of just being in the right place at the right time. Not really, going out there and making an interception.
All this talk and hype and everything. I know the regular season doesn't mean that much, but we only lost by 4 points. And the reason it happened is because of a crappy. In all fairness, I believe it was a crappy pass interference call to lead them up the field, which caused that whole sequence of events. In all fairness, say the Pats were lucky. The Giants have some disgusting luck in general when it comes to the playoffs. To think the roads that they take to get to where they end up getting to, like the Super Bowl, it's just lucky. I mean, granted, they have a good team on paper. They're good. They're a good all-around team. The Pats, in all fairness, not the best all-around team, especially because of the defense and everything.
Their quarterback, tight end.
Like the Giants are solid throughout. That's why I think you could give a slight advantage to the Giants because they're solid.
Let me put a point out there. When I saw Rob Gronkowski going down, I thought two things. I thought first that was at a real bad time. I thought the Ravens going to win that game. But not even that. I was kind of putting it aside because I thought the Ravens going to win that game at that point. Yeah. However, take Hakeem Nicks out from the Giants. I don't think it's a big of a loss as, say, taking out a Welker or Gronkowski.
Definitely.
These Patriots are so relied on Tom Brady, Welker, Gronkowski, and Hernandez that if any of them even have a bad day, then this whole team could be watching the next game. However, it hasn't happened yet. However, I think the Giants, as far as on paper goes, they can lose Hakeem Nicks like they have. They can lose Victor Cruz, just came out of nowhere.
If they lose one of those guys, that kind of hurts.
But they got a running game. They got Ahmad Bradshaw.
They do, but then the pass is taken away.
Lose Brandon Jacobs. You still got Ahmad Bradshaw. Lose Jake Ballard. You got Beckham. You know they're real deep out there, and they got a real good offensive line too. And I think Eli Manning. He's had a phenomenal year this year, and I put him in. You can make an argument that he's a top 4 quarterback in this league all of a sudden.
Did he break 5,000 pass yards?
He almost did.
He was that close.
This would have been a season with 4.
Yeah, that was 4. It's an amazing display of.
I think going into the season, you look at Eli Manning and say maybe he's an 8 to 10. top quarterback in this league because of his postseason success. However, throw him in with what he's done this season. I'll say Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the game. Brady and Brees are tied. And then right there at 4 is Eli Manning. And that's a huge improvement.
The reason why I believe he's so good, with in a way, it's like his brother. He's like his brother Peyton. He is clutch when you need him to be. He will step up when you really need him to step up for you. And it comes in those times where it's those stretches where you really need to win those games. Like the Jets, the Cowboys, you beat the Packers, you beat the Falcons, and then you beat the 49ers. All huge games against over 500 teams. And everyone's already counting the Giants out and everything. I mean, it's just amazing what he can do. His fourth quarter numbers are amazing. His fourth quarter numbers are amazing. He leads in, I think he leads in pass yards, and he leads in QB rating in quarterback stats in the fourth.
One comment out there before we go to X Factor. We got to move on a little bit. I think the one thing that holds Eli back, I'm just not saying this. I think it's his facial expressions. Sometimes when he's out there, he looks kind of dumb with his facial movements and everything. If you look at him on replays, he's kind of looking around like he doesn't even know where he is. And you know what I'm talking about?
He's like a kid.
Yeah, he looks like a kid out there. He looks like a young Peyton Manning. Yeah. However, I mean, I think Peyton Manning, when you see him, he'll get pissed, he'll get real angry, he'll get really pumped up. Eli Manning isn't that. I think he's a little bit more laid back than Peyton. I think that's the one thing that's holding him back.
But then again, everyone has different emotions.
No, I hear you, but I think that's the one thing. But John, go to the next one.
All right, what or who is the X factor for both teams here?
I'm gonna say my X factor right now is. We haven't really talked about this yet. I think it's going to be the Patriots secondary. And can they stop that big three of Manningham? Well, right now, I think that big three, as far as receivers go, the best receiver trio in the game with Manningham, Nix, and Cruz. Cruz and Nix are wide receiver studs out there in the corner. They can easily be number ones in both teams. And by default, Mario Manningham all of a sudden is a slot receiver who could be a number one himself. And, you know, he's a big, deep threat. You can throw these guys all day, and then it opens the field up for Jake Ballard and Ahmad Bradshaw to run. And, you know, I think that's why Eli's had such a great year, because of those receivers. But I think the big X factor is maybe even let one go. But if you can maybe even shut down a Hakeem Nicks or a Victor Cruz, if you can shut down one of those guys, I think that could be an X factor. And I want Devin McCourty to have the game of his life right now. Because a lot of people said Devin McCourty could challenge Darrelle Revis as one of the top quarterbacks in the AFC last year. You know, McCourty Island, so much for Revis Island. It could be McCourty Island. In his rookie season, he makes the Pro Bowl. He's digressed so much this year. Nobody's even talking about him. I want him to have a huge game. Shut down Hakeem Nicks. Shut down Victor Cruz. And also Kyle Arrington on the other side.
I'm definitely, I couldn't agree with you more with the Patriots secondary. The key is, like when I said, when the X factor with Flacco, going back to that game, if he can beat the Patriots deep, then I believe that they can win the game.
Yeah.
And, which obviously they didn't because of whatever factors. But back to this game. Eli Manning, who's better quarterback, has better receiving core and everything, and has a better offense in general. Like double of what Flacco had and everything, besides Ray Rice. Mm-hmm. And I would honestly have to say, if he can beat our corners... what I mean is the secondary for the Patriots is huge. They need to stop those deep passes, like you said with Manningham, sprinting down the field, and Nix and Cruz. They need to stop those guys and make them come at them with the run so it'll be more predictable, so we can try and stop them. Because we were shutting down the run last week with Rice. Yeah. Grant Ricky Williams, he had some plays too, but eventually, for the most part, run game was shut down.
Yeah,
shut down. It was mainly the pass game. I mean, it's just... we need to stop the pass. If our secondary can step up and cover those guys to their fullest ability and not have Edelman cover guys on defense.
Well, he's going to be out there. He was out there in the fourth down, 4th and 6. He was out there.
I forget which play he was. He blew it. He blew a big one.
And I just want to say one thing. I really like that call right there, Peps. However, you can say, oh, well, what are you talking about? If they can stop down a Ray Rice, they can easily stop down Ahmad Bradshaw.
Double threat.
However, I think that passing game and the presence of Eli Manning is going to really open up the field for Ahmad Bradshaw, like it did in 08. And Brandon Jacobs emerged in 08 right there. I really like with the Giants running game. I think they made up a big game. We got to move on a little bit.
All right. Before we move on to the end. Question right here. Are the Pats better than they were in 08?
All right. Defensively, no. Offensively, yes. Look at that. What the Patriots had in that defense. Almost everyone was either a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro in their prime, had some history there, or was really developing. Look at that defensive line with Vince Wilfork, a young Vince Wilfork, Richard Seymour, Ty Warren, Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel for the linebacking core, Junior Seau, and then you look at the secondary with Asante Samuel, who was right in his prime right there. Ellis Hobbs, who was a solid year. He's probably the weakness on the defense. But then you look at Rodney Harrison back there in the backfield. I think defensively, the Patriots definitely take a back seat this year. Offensively, Randy Moss had a record-breaking season that year, and Wes Welker emerged onto the scene, and Brady had a record-setting quarterback year right there. However, I think this year they have much more weapons. Nobody's even talking about Deion Branch. He might have a big game. Deion Branch, Ocho Cinco, Wes Welker, solid trio there for wide receivers. And then as far as tight ends go, the Boston Tea Party with Hernandez and a healthy Gronk if he is healthy. I think offense, yes. Defense, no.
I'm going to agree with you 100%. I think with defense, I mean, it's to the point where we have the. I mean, granted, the wide receivers on defense, they play their heart out. I mean, whatever. But the thing is, you just don't want them out there. You can't have wide receivers playing defense. I mean, you mean the Super Bowl, you need everyone to step up to the full potential. The defense definitely lacks, like you said, with all those guys. In the offense, you insert a way better Wes Welker.
Yeah.
You insert Gronk. You insert Hernandez.
Branch over Dante
You insert the never fumbling Green Ellis, who's emerged in these playoffs.
I'll take that. I'll take Green Ellis over Maroney, right?
I definitely. Oh my God, I would. Yes,
and
definitely.
I think not to be underestimated. I think their offensive
Woodhead
line
had
is
a good
better
season
too.
last season. He's been a little shaky this season, but I also insert him into that too. I mean, I think this is a really threatening offensive team.
Just throwing it out 8 minutes.
8 minutes. All right, so we'll just cut it after this. I think as far as Giants go, I think the Giants defensively, I think they are a little bit worse than they were in 08. Offensively, they're much, much better. Hakeem Nicks was just bursting on the scene back in 08. No, he wasn't even drafted yet. I'm talking about Steve Smith. He was just bursting on the scene. Same with Mario Manningham. They have much more weapons now. Ahmad Bradshaw is a stout running back right now, top 10 in the league. But as far as defensively, I think the Giants are a little bit worse, and that's why I think Brady's going to be able to torch them. However, I would take Jason Pierre-Paul over Michael Strahan.
Definitely, he's been ridiculous this season for them. But I mean, with the Giants, you can say their defense got a little worse, but it's like it's a steep decline for the Patriots. It didn't just get worse; it got awful to the point where we were 30th in pass yards allowed, 31st in pass yards allowed in game, yards in general allowed. I mean, granted, we still got the 1 seed, but it's just the offense for the Patriots is just gonna I think, honestly, will destroy. But the Giants, their defense, I honestly think will eventually get to Brady. Their pass rush definitely got better. And I mean, it's definitely been more of a steep decline for the Pats than it has for the Giants, which is why I think the Giants have a better team they did in 07 than the Pats did.
All right. Couple final things now. This episode would have fully been dedicated to football, but Prince Fielder signing.
I want to take this one pass.
Prince Fielder signing a 9-year, $214 million deal. I think that's a little worthy.
This is right in my wheelhouse.
Episode.
This is like Christmas morning for me. I love this MLB trade rumor stuff. This is the best 3-4 combo, lefty-righty, since Manny Ortiz back in 04. You look at now they have a king and a prince with Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder. V-Mart's hurt this year, and I said, oh, how are they going to make up for V-Mart? Tigers come from nowhere, throw this huge contract. This contract may go down as one of the worst contracts in history, but right now, it looks great right now. And I think Detroit's going to be, with Verlander, I think they're going to be a real good team, and I can see them as major players in the trade deadline, and maybe get a nice starting pitcher to put them over the hump, and they could be contenders for the AL crown. I look for Prince Fielder to put up major numbers, maybe 250, 40, 120.
They were saying, like, they were going to... I think this is, by the way, a huge move for the Tigers.
Yeah.
Also, they were saying that since Cabrera played third with the Marlins, they were saying they're going to move him to third.
He's going to be playing third, yeah.
He's going to be playing third. I forget what they said about the other two when he comes back.
Prince is going to be DH, and Miguel Cabrera is going to be first base for right now, but when Victor comes back...
Third base, Cabrera, and then all that. It's a huge move. They were already pretty good offensively. Now they're just exploding with
AL title
offense.
contenders?
Definitely.
Are they? I think the one thing that sets them apart.
I think the one thing that will get in their way is the Yankees moves that they have made.
I think the good thing is they play in a real weak division. I really want to lock them up. I think they're going to be the #1 right there. However, Joe Paterno, sad day.
That's sad, especially the way it happened.
Really tough last year for his. I mean, he was so great first 84 years. That 85th year was a really tough one
for that team.
But, you know.
Well, that's all we have for this episode, the Super Bowl episode of The Pitch. Follow us on Facebook.
Patriots.
Go Patriots.